The world likes to pretend it is governed by fairness. From childhood onward, we are taught that honesty prevails, that good intentions are rewarded, that moral purity leads to success. Society repeats this narrative not because it is true, but because it is useful. Fairness is a myth designed to keep order among the many, while the few who understand power quietly operate by different rules. This treatise is not an invitation to cruelty for its own sake. It is a confrontation with reality, stripped of comforting illusions. To stop playing fair is not to abandon humanity, but to refuse self-deception. To be ruthless is not to be evil, but to be effective in a world that does not forgive weakness. Machiavelli was never a preacher of malice. He was a diagnostician of human nature. He observed how people actually behave when power, fear, desire, and survival are at stake. His conclusions disturbed moralists because they revealed an uncomfortable truth: morality does not govern outcomes, power does. Those who cling to fairness as a strategy mistake ethics for protection. The world does not reward virtue automatically. It rewards leverage, decisiveness, and the ability to act without hesitation when circumstances demand it. Fairness is a luxury of the strong. Only those already protected by power can afford to act just at all times. For the weak, fairness is often a trap. When you insist on playing fair in an unfair environment, you are not being noble, you are being predictable. Predictability invites exploitation. History is filled with individuals and nations that lost everything not because they were wrong, but because they assumed their opponents would respect the same rules. They mistook shared values for shared incentives. Human beings do not operate on ideals, they operate on interests. This is not cynicism, but observation. People align with morality when it costs them nothing. When morality threatens their advantage, it is quietly discarded or publicly reinterpreted. Those who understand this do not waste time appealing to conscience where incentives rule. They shape outcomes by controlling conditions, not by hoping for goodwill. To play fair in a ruthless world is to announce that you are safe to exploit. The honest man believes others will reciprocate his honesty. The ruthless man understands that honesty without power is merely exposure. This does not mean lying constantly or betraying everyone. It means choosing transparency strategically, not emotionally. Truth, like silence, is a weapon. Used without timing, it becomes a liability. Reputation matters more than inner virtue. The world does not see your intentions, it sees your actions and their results. You may be morally pure and still be crushed. You may be morally ambiguous and be respected, feared, or followed. Power is attracted to appearance, not essence. This is why Machiavelli emphasized seeming virtuous rather than being virtuous at all times. Appearance shapes expectations. Expectations shape behavior. Behavior shapes outcomes. Those who reject this idea often confuse it with hypocrisy. But there is a difference between deception for personal gain and strategic self-presentation for survival. Every social interaction is already a performance. You choose what to reveal, what to hide, what to emphasize. The ruthless individual simply does this consciously, rather than pretending authenticity will protect them. Cruelty, when applied decisively and briefly, can be more humane than endless softness. This is one of Machiavelli's most misunderstood insights. Weak leaders avoid harsh decisions in the name of compassion, only to allow chaos to spread. Their mercy becomes cruelty over time, as unresolved problems multiply and suffering grows. Firm action, even when painful, can restore order and prevent greater harm. Ruthlessness is not about enjoying harm, it is about refusing paralysis. Indecision is often disguised as morality. People say they are waiting for the right or fair option, when in reality they are afraid to act. Fear of judgment, fear of responsibility, fear of being seen as harsh, these fears cost more lives, careers, and opportunities than calculated severity ever has. Power is not granted to the righteous, it is taken by the prepared. Those who wait to be chosen, approved, or validated remain subordinate. The world does not reward patience by default. It rewards initiative backed by force, leverage, or indispensability. To stop playing fair is to stop waiting for permission to defend your interests. Control, not moral superiority, determines victory. You can be right and still lose. You can expose injustice and still be destroyed by it. Power does not ask who deserves to win, it asks who can impose their will. Those who understand this do not waste energy proving their righteousness. They focus on positioning, alliances, timing, and pressure. Morality functions as a tool of mass management. It creates predictability among large groups. This is not inherently evil, societies need shared norms to function. But the mistake lies in believing that those who enforce moral rules are bound by them in the same way. Elites often invoke morality to stabilize the system, not to limit themselves. They reserve flexibility while demanding consistency from others. Weakness dressed as virtue is still weakness. Good intentions do not neutralize consequences. If your kindness enables exploitation, it is not virtuous, it is negligent. If your honesty empowers liars to outmaneuver you, it is not noble, it is reckless. Strength is the prerequisite for moral choice. Without strength, morality is merely an aspiration. Fear is more reliable than love when survival is at stake. Love depends on emotion, gratitude, and memory, all of which are unstable. Fear is grounded in self-interest. This does not mean ruling through terror, but ensuring that consequences are clear and unavoidable. Respect rooted in fear of loss is often more durable than affection rooted in convenience. Naivety is the deadliest sin in politics, business, and life. To assume fairness is to abdicate vigilance. The naive person believes betrayal is rare, aggression is abnormal, and exploitation is an exception. The experienced person knows these are constants. The difference between cynicism and wisdom is preparation. Wisdom does not despair at human nature, it plans for it. Decisiveness outweighs clean hands. A flawed decision executed firmly often outperforms a perfect decision delayed indefinitely. The world moves while moral debates continue. Those who hesitate in pursuit of purity are overtaken by those willing to act with incomplete certainty. History remembers outcomes, not intentions. Rules are written by winners. Fairness is often defined retroactively, after power has already settled the matter. Those who lose are told they broke the rules, those who win are praised for their vision. Understanding this does not mean rejecting all rules, but recognizing that rules are not neutral. They reflect existing power structures. Compassion without strength invites aggression. When boundaries are weak, they are tested. When resistance is absent, exploitation escalates. True compassion requires the capacity to say no, to enforce limits, to punish violations. Otherwise, kindness becomes a signal of vulnerability. Machiavelli did not teach evil, he taught clarity. He stripped politics and human interaction of their comforting narratives and examined them as they are. His work endures because it speaks to patterns that repeat across centuries. The technologies change, the psychology does not. To stop playing fair is not to abandon ethics entirely. It is to stop confusing ethics with strategy. Ethics guide personal values, strategy governs survival in competitive environments. When the two align, act virtuously. When they conflict, understand the cost of choosing virtue without power. Ruthlessness, properly understood, is discipline. It is the refusal to indulge in self-deception. It is the courage to see people as they are, not as we wish them to be. It is the ability to act without seeking moral applause. It is restraint in victory and firmness in conflict. The ruthless individual is not constantly aggressive. Aggression is expensive and attracts resistance. True ruthlessness lies in selectivity. Strike where it matters. Withdraw where it does not. Reveal strength sparingly, but unmistakably. Let uncertainty work in your favor. Those who moralize excessively often do so to avoid responsibility. By framing every conflict as good versus evil, they simplify reality and absolve themselves of strategic thinking. The ruthless thinker accepts ambiguity. They understand that outcomes are rarely pure and that responsibility cannot be outsourced to ideals. Power respects clarity. People follow those who project certainty, even when they disagree. Hesitation erodes authority faster than mistakes. When you act decisively, you create momentum. Momentum itself becomes a form of power, pulling others into alignment. Self-control is the foundation of ruthlessness. Emotional reactivity is weakness. Anger, guilt, and the need for approval make you manipulable. The ruthless individual does not eliminate emotion, they master it. They act from calculation, not impulse. To be feared does not require cruelty, it requires consistency. When consequences are predictable, fear stabilizes behavior. Random harshness breeds rebellion. Strategic severity creates order. This distinction separates tyrants from effective rulers. Fairness can exist within power, but not in place of it. Once strength is secured, justice becomes sustainable. Without strength, justice is aspirational at best. This is the paradox moralists avoid. Power enables morality more often than morality enables power. The ultimate danger is believing yourself morally superior. Moral arrogance blinds you to your own vulnerabilities. It convinces you that you deserve to win, which makes loss feel unjust and unexpected. The ruthless mind assumes nothing is guaranteed and prepares accordingly. To live ruthlessly is to accept responsibility for outcomes, not excuses. It is to abandon the comfort of victimhood. It is to recognize that the world owes you nothing and that survival, influence, and success must be actively secured. Stopping fair play is not about domination for its own sake. It is about refusing to be dominated by illusions. It is about choosing awareness over comfort and effectiveness over applause.